Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello and welcome. It's another fabulous day here at USA Global TV and Radio, where we do provide world-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and we want to welcome you, whatever platform you're watching or listening from around the world. Thank you so much for being here. Today's show is Authentic Achievements, and we are expecting a guest who hasn't arrived. So today, the star of our show, KIM-ADELE, Randall, and myself will be talking about a life well lived. What does that mean? We're going to find out. KIM-ADELE Randall is incredible. My heart just goes out to her because she's such a beautiful person in so many ways. She's an author, she's a mentor, she's a coach, she's an entrepreneur. She has her own platform called Authentic Achievements, and so we're borrowing it from her for this show. Let's welcome her to the program. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Well, it's so good to see you, KIM-ADELE.
And you, my lovely. And you. I always so look forward to our chats.
I do too. Now, where in the United Kingdom are you specifically? Are you directly in London?
No, I'm actually in Grantham, which is classed as commutable. We're only about an hour out by the train, but it's actually in the middle of the UK. So an hour to London, but actually 5 minutes, and you're in the what's called the Vale of Belvoir. So rolling hills and old country homes and castles and things. So lovely, great place to bring up my little one.
It sounds beautiful. And I started on Netflix yesterday, I believe, watching a show about London real estate. And I'm really enjoying it because they're showing you we call the suburbs if it's outside the city, and also the city proper, and some, is it Mayfair, I guess?
Yeah.
Some incredibly expensive homes that are just, one of them, I think, $50 million, just truly amazing. So I'd love to have you share with our audience, Authentic Achievements is your baby. How did you come up with it and when?
Oh, great question. So I came up with Authentic Achievements, I think about 4 years ago. So I'd been running my business, which actually was just KIM-ADELE. That's because it was me. And I realized that actually what I wanted was something that was going to be a little bit broader, that was going to be able to encourage people to share their stories. And for many years when I was in corporate life, we were told to be something different. You know, you needed to have more gravitas, you needed to look a certain way, you needed to do this, you needed to do that. And I was so busy being somebody else that I lost my sense of self until I realized that actually it was okay to be me. It was okay to bring my whole self to work. And that was probably about 10 years ago. And on reflecting on that, that's when I thought, actually, that is the part that for me is key. It's how do we live our authentic selves, and how do we live our authentic achievements? So what might be something I want to achieve might not be what's right for you listening or watching. And that's okay. But we can still achieve things. And I wanted a place where we could share that. We could share other people's journeys to their achievements and hopefully inspire each other to keep going and to achieve more.
I completely agree with you. I love that. It's something else that we've discussed that really comes part and parcel with that is the imposter syndrome, that when we do achieve something, it's kind of like, whoa, I'm not good enough, or I can't even accept, congratulations, well done. I start making a lot of excuses. Well, it was just because of this. It was luck. And it is interesting because when you have an authentic achievement, which could be something very personal, it could be something professional. There's so many different categories of it, but it's also like that humility. And at the same time, that's, wow, I don't know. I'm afraid that bad things are going to happen now because something good happens. You ever feel that way?
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? I got told years ago, bad things come in threes. Nobody told me good things come in threes. So
Is that true about the good things?
why wouldn't it be? Well, it could be whatever it wants, but we've chosen to focus on those negatives. And I was chatting with somebody just before we came on here, actually, and sharing. I think we've been hamstrung by some of the things that we've been told as we were growing up. So, if we think about some of the phrases that we grew up with as children, so sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. And yet we know now words hurt, and they hurt deep. So we've got a lot of these things where we just like, what if the opposite were true? What if we were just a bit more curious? What if we were just willing to question more and be open-minded to the art of the opposite being true? Imagine what that might look like for our life and for how happy we are within it.
I love that perspective. Absolutely. So we're here today to provide education, hope, and inspiration. And you and I have both been through quite a lot in our lives. And recently, very recently for you, something happened and something's in the same realm happened for me. So my question for you is, when we think about the title, A Life Well Lived, what does that mean to you? What are some, maybe 3 or 4 things that when it's time to leave, that if those things have been accomplished, you will feel that way? Or do you feel that way already now?
Oh no, I'm still well on my
Still
toes.
making natural time.
I still feel like I've not yet fulfilled my purpose. And I think a lot of that was down to the fact that I didn't know what it was. And I think for a lot of us, that's the challenge. We don't know what it is or what it was that we were trying to achieve. What is it we want? What is it that's going to make us happy? And a large part of that was about having to go inward to work out what were the things that made my soul sing? What were the things that made me happy, that gave me joy? And then how could I find those and do them in a way that gave other people joy, that served other people, that made them happy? Because I think we're here to create and we're here to serve. And so for me, one of the things that I would, I've got my little girl, one of the things I'd love to leave for her as a legacy is that actually we always have choice. In every moment, whatever happens, we have choice. And if we make a choice that doesn't bring us joy or doesn't bring us peace, then we can make a different choice immediately afterwards. Because for too long, I made the wrong decisions and then lived with them, because back to those sayings that we had when we were growing up, you made your bed, you got to lie in it. I missed the reality that I can get out of bed and make it again. If I make the wrong bed, I can make a different one. I don't have to have that with me for forever. So I think for me, I would love to leave a legacy for getting people to make conscious choice and understand that they can make a different one if it doesn't work. And I also have got a burning desire to get out there. The need for us all to be so much more curious as leaders, curious as people, curious as family members, curious as friends, curious as in whatever we do. Because when we think about the way children approach life, and they do it with wonderment and curiosity and love, and they go at everything, with that. I wonder what this is. I wonder if the opposite would be true. I wonder where those bits go. And I think once we start to do that, then actually nothing becomes impossible. And that would be an amazing legacy for me to leave behind, I hope.
Absolutely, you will. The way you summarize that, and you have a higher purpose, which is your beautiful Scarlet, and that's something that keeps you going every day, and I really admire that. I know for myself, when I was taking care of my mom for the 3.5 years, it was really consuming in a lot of ways, emotionally, physically. It was exhausting, plus running 2 businesses and working out and doing all these things. And then when she passed away, I felt this, and I still feel it, this huge void of what am I supposed to be doing now? And even though I have a life that's full, it's kind of like there's something missing because I felt like I was so immersed in what it was I was doing in being that provider of care.
Mm.
And so I started teaching fitness classes to, I guess, fill the void, although, I'm obsessed with fitness, but it's still there in a way. And so I wonder for A-type personalities where it's always about the next gold ring, the next gold medal, how do we temper that with the true reality of life that we can't be everything to everyone every minute of the day?
Great question, because we try so hard to do that, don't we? I'm a lifelong people pleaser. I tried really hard to make everybody like me, and they're not going to. And for years, I tried to be what other people expected me to be of. And then I read this quote, and it kind of summed it up. It's like, I would rather be somebody's shot of whiskey than everybody's cup of tea. Now, I'm British. We could argue about how we take our tea as much as we could argue about politics or religion. So it's never going to happen. You're never going to be everybody's cup of tea. But for the right people, you'll be that shot of whiskey. And I think for me, that helped me to kind of really start to think about going inward. And I think when we're very busy and we've got full lives, and we're the thing we don't have is the most valuable asset, which is time. And when we do have that time, we feel that we should fill it. And we should fill it with activity. We should fill it with doing and being and running around. And actually, what I found is that, and it's the most difficult thing to do, is using that time to just be, to just sit without any interruption, without any objective, without anything that you've got to do. So not having to meditate, you don't have got to do anything, and just listen to what your heart is telling you that you would like to be doing, what it would love, what it would like to go, actually is what really helps you to find that purpose. So we think we're going to find our purpose by doing and being busy, and actually we find our purpose in the quiet moments when we're still enough to just listen.
And listening is key in many different aspects. Thank you. I've found with myself, people will say, what do you do to relax? And I just start laughing. I go, relax. That's when I'm working out, I guess, or that's when I'm working, because I love so much what it is that I'm doing. But even though I'm a certified meditation coach, I don't meditate as much as I probably could. And I do pray every day, several times, but I'm not someone who's going to be sitting outside gazing at the nature. And I did walk out of spin class. I taught spin yesterday, and I walked out and I thought, wow, what a beautiful area this is. And listen to the birds. And I made a little video, and I felt so empowered because I'm so blessed in many ways. And to me, that's an authentic achievement. It's an authentic achievement to feel at peace in your body and feel comfortable in your own skin.
Absolutely, so is. And I think for me, it's those moments of just being present, isn't it? You get that, you kind of go on the dog walk, done the same dog walk for years, but in that moment you just go, oh, isn't it beautiful here? Or aren't there lots of birds singing today? Or you suddenly in that moment become very present, very connected to everything. And I think for me, that's, they're the moments that I appreciate the most. And I try and do that with my little girl. We try and, as we're going on the dog walk, be really intentional. What can we find? I wonder how many flowers we can find. I wonder how many butterflies we're going to see. I wonder how many, but it means that you've got to be present. Whereas before, I'd be going on that and I'd be worrying about something or thinking about what I could do next, or have I done such and such when I get home, or how many plates have I spent. So you've done the walk piece, but you've not really enjoyed it because you've made it functionary instead of making it something where you're just being present, even if it's just for a moment. I've not mastered being present for much longer than that, but present for a moment, and then catching myself when I'm not being present and pulling myself back. And I think it's also in and to your point, it's being comfortable in your own skin, but it's also being comfortable that what that means for you might not be the same as it means for everybody else, and that's still okay, because as long as they find the thing that makes them feel at peace and joy, that probably won't work for you either. I think we desperately try and be the same, and yet we're all unique. I think it was Oscar Wilde that said, "Be yourself, everybody else is taken." And yet have created a compare and despair society where we look at the seemingly perfect lives of everybody else, and then we compare them to the messy reality of our lives, and find ourselves lacking, instead of looking at actually what is it we want. We might not want what everybody else wants, and that might be okay.
That's very true. And it can be okay. We just have to accept it and acknowledge it. Yesterday, something happened, which I'm so grateful that I get to teach fitness classes. It's a true honor and blessing. And I get to go to Solid Core as often as I want, which is typically every day. And yesterday after class, a woman came up to me and she said, "Do you realize what an inspiration you are?" And I said, "I'm not. I'm just a crazy person who pushes themselves to the nth degree." And she said, "No, you really are an inspiration. I watch you and I push myself harder." And I'm just saying it in a humble way. I'm not bragging. I hear that a lot, that people will say they tried to get next to me in class because they can't believe the level that I'm at and how I push myself. And that means a lot. And then I leave there and I typically go for a walk. And the walk is around the outside of this very affluent shopping mall. And of course, you have all the store windows filled with all the high-end designer items. And I was one of those people who was really consumed with having the designer bags and shoes. Whether I could afford it or not, it didn't matter. And I wanted to have the shoes that they only made so many pairs of, so the likelihood of me ever seeing anyone else in them would be very, very limited. So my point is that now when I walk around, and I walk around outside because I like to be in the sun, but I don't need to be looking through the stores and getting ideas. But outside you're looking in through the window, and I think, I'm not that person anymore. I mean, I have a lot of beautiful designer things. I don't even wear them. And that compliment from that person means so much more than any of those things in the shop window, if that makes sense.
It makes total sense. You kind of look at it and think, it is the simple things that mean the most to us in the end. They're the things that that are going to be the memories that we keep, and the greatest gifts have been those moments that you've had with people. Or there's nothing like my little girl is the most complimentary little thing, bless her. And I tell myself awful things all of the time, and she'll just look at you with unconditional love and go, "I love you, Mummy, you're beautiful." And to her I am, and therefore I am, because that's what I'm going to choose to believe, because I'm going to see myself through her eyes. And yet I used to chase all of the external things that would demonstrate that I was doing okay, that I was successful, that I wasn't a complete and utter hopeless case. And for many years, I did that at the expense of spending time with family and friends, because you were always busy, you're always working, you're always doing something else. And I now realize, actually, that's my greatest gift, is having the opportunity to spend time with people I love and to make those memories. So it's interesting that we change, we evolve, we end up wanting different things than we thought we wanted, and that's okay, because life's a journey, and we think it's a destination, but it's the journey, I think, that is the most important part.
It's all about the journey and enjoying the ride. And Just as an example, a couple of days ago, I went to see a hand surgeon because I've hurt my wrist. And, if you figure you're working out 3 times a day like a psycho at 61, maybe something's going to happen. And so I got an x-ray and it showed there was a fracture. And I went to see this doctor and I ended up seeing 3 doctors. And they're looking at, I think they were a little disappointed because they're surgeons. And they said, you don't actually have a fracture. It looks like you have some minor tendinitis. And I can't even tell you at the moment, I was so happy and relieved. I didn't even want to go to the doctor, but several people said, you really need to go and have it checked out. And it still hurts, but he was pushing and prodding the one and all different, and it didn't hurt there. So I went to the car when I left and I just cried with joy, because to think about having hand surgery or being in a cast, there's no amount of money that could have taken that feeling and given me a better feeling than knowing that I don't need surgery and I don't have a fracture. Thank you, God. I can't even explain that. And I think as we get older, we start holding on to things like this and thinking that's the real gift.
Yeah, it is. It's those, the bits that are priceless are the bits that are genuinely priceless. You can't put a price on them because you can't sell them. Those genuine feelings, those genuine moments that kind of either bring you great happiness or great laughter or great joy. They're the moments that if somebody came and gave you all the money in the world, would you part with them? Would I part with time with Scarlett? Or all the memories that I had, or to part with them for any of my family and friends? No, not for all the money in the world. And that, therefore, that's where I should, for me personally, that's where I feel I should focus.
And Scarlett is learning from you. She's watching you and she's picking up, because that's what children do. They're kind of like very curious, like a sponge, and they're taking it all in. So you're such an excellent role model. What about for people out there who are watching and they feel like they're not achieving what they want to achieve? I know that you work with people, you've worked with people all over the world. They have to be open to working with someone, don't they?
Absolutely. Yeah, you've got to be open to think differently about everything you've thought so far. Doesn't mean say everything's going to change, but it's that willingness to be open-minded enough to accept that there could be an opposite view to the one that you've held on to so far. And I think that's because we think we sometimes forget that we live in a world of polarity. So nothing exists without its equal counterpart. There's no up without a down. There's no left without a right. So whatever we believe, the exact opposite can also be true. It also exists. And therefore we get to choose which one of those that we focus on. So we've got to be open-minded to be able to be willing to look at some of the things that we have held as absolute truths up until this point, and be open to the fact that they might not all be truths, and they might not all be unchangeable. And that's kind of what coaches help you do, is find the truths that aren't helping you to achieve what you want to achieve, and create new ones that allow you to go and achieve that. Whether it's that changing that self-limiting belief, or whether it's helping you see that there's alternate ways of being able to do it. It's really looking through the fact that often we don't get started because we can't see the whole path. And we kind of look at it and go, oh yeah, but I can't see how I'd get there. I can see how I'd get from here to here, but I can't see the next bit. So until I can see everything, I'm going to stay where I am. And actually, one of the things that we need to get better at is just keeping moving forward, taking the step we can see, because with every step we take, another step comes into view. And I was just chatting to somebody, I was interviewing them on my podcast earlier, and they were saying, they're a super long distance extreme runner and mountain climber. It goes, I don't know how to do any of those things. What I do know how to do is run a step. I do know how to climb a step. So, when you tell me I can run 50 miles, I go, you must be crazy. He said, I've done it. I'd still tell people, I don't know how to do that. I know how to run a step. And then all I do is keep running the next step that I can see. And it really hit home that actually that's kind of how we how we achieve things is by taking the steps we can see and trusting that the next steps will therefore come into view.
That's brilliant. I'm so glad that you shared that. Thank you. I'm going to embrace that as well. It's the one step after another instead of the entire picture. Something I want to ask you about as a single person, someone called me out on this, and I want to say it was 10 years ago. The person said, because you live alone, you don't have a partner, you have nobody to call you out on your stuff. They use a different word. And that's a big miss that you have because no one's calling you out on it. And I said, I'm so hard on myself. I can't imagine anyone seeing something different because I see everything that's wrong all the time. And the person said, no, it's not the same thing. What are your thoughts about that? Do we need to have a partner to tell us about all the things that we are not doing correctly or where we're missing our authentic achievement opportunities?
For me personally, I don't think you do. I think it's useful to have other people, because some of the calling us out on things is calling us out where we're being awful to ourselves, and they see the other side. So it's not just to layer more things we're getting wrong; it's also to layer some things that we're getting right. But I think if you've got the right support infrastructure, the right friends, the right family. For me, I coach as well. Then actually, you're getting the external view to be able to to be able to help you see how others are perceiving you. And it's all just information so that you can then make a different choice. Very often, and we chatted about this, didn't we, in a previous show, when we get unsolicited advice, and it's always what we should do. We should do this, and we should do that, we should do the other. Well, actually, that's if that were coming from a relationship, that's going to be coming from a relationship that wouldn't last very long. because if somebody keeps telling me what I should do, then they're basically saying that I have no ability to do anything on my own. Why would they want to be with me if that's generally the case? If they tell me what I could do and allow me to have the choice around what that fits like, that's very different. So I think with anything, there are pros and cons. There are absolute positives about having a partner, having somebody to share things with, having them to share the good times and the bad times. When you're on your own, you have to do both of those on your own. But if you've got the right people around you, I'm super blessed that I've got amazing friends like yourself, Dr. Jacalyn, an amazing family. So actually, I don't face these things alone, the positives or the negatives that life throws at us. And I think sometimes we have to try and put people into a box that says, well, they're single. I feel it a lot, as a single mum, that people will have a reading of me and a perception of me because I am a single mum, and therefore any choices I make and any decisions I make, I always look at them and go, well, yeah, but I'm a single mum. If I did that, then people would think. How do I know? I don't know that people would think. I've not had the grace to ask them what they think. I've just come up with a negative view of my own, and then blamed these poor souls that haven't ever said it with thinking it. And I think for me, some of that was being able to, through my support network, through my coach, recognize in those moments where I do things like that, and that is calling me out and saying, it's you that thinks it, not these other people. So take accountability and make a better choice.
Thank you, KIM-ADELE. Which would you say is more important to you? Your support system when you have a big win, or your support system when you didn't quite achieve what you wanted to?
Oh, that's a great question. For me, it's for the times I didn't achieve. So the times I did achieve, I have a tendency not to kind of brush those slightly under the carpet, which might be back to, still having those throes of imposter syndrome. But in the times of things not going well or times of great loss, knowing that you're not on your own, knowing that they have your back and that they will be there with you, is invaluable. It's the part for me that gives me the courage to take the chance in the first place. that they're your safety net, that yes, you can fall, but you won't fall too far, I guess is how I see it.
Yeah, I'm feeling the same kind of thing. And to your point about the achievements, I know for me, I feel like there are times when people are just like, oh, it's another book that she has. Oh, she brought somebody else on for a new TV show. And meanwhile, they don't understand the work that goes into it. And especially as an author, I feel like being an author is a wonderful thing, but at the same time, it's also daunting because if you're not, and this is my opinion, if you're not a New York Times bestselling author or you don't have all the accolades, then it's like you fall into a category of the unknown, the abyss. And when I look at the children's books, for example, I think they're really good. I really like, I'm like, wow, that's a really good method. I'm not just saying that because I'm not the only one that works on them for most of the time. But yet the sales don't reflect that. So if I looked at myself as an author and I looked at how many books I sold, I would say you're a loser. And one of the big bookstore chains here in the States, I called them to see about doing a book signing. And they said, we're not interested in children's books. And I'm thinking, what do you talk? Like, I said, what does that even mean? You're not interested. And I felt like loser, but it wasn't directed to me personally. But I think it's also how we set the bar for what is a success and what isn't. And I know if I were to go around and ask people I know, what do you think? I just wrote this book, Lady Ella Joins the Gym. It's coming out on Saturday. I don't think anyone would really care because it's not that important to them. And then I could use that as to decide that I'm a success or I'm a failure. So I have to take all of that aside and just say to myself, it's a win because somebody somewhere will pick up that book and find value in it, whether it's today or someday in the future.
And sometimes we're asking the wrong people we're looking to the wrong places for our validation. So, for example, to somebody who doesn't want to write a book, it might not be of any interest to them that you have. To anybody out there that wants to write the book, that wants to get the book out there, the fact that you've done it inspires people to think, well, I can do it too. But we don't go and ask them because we don't know where they are. We don't know who they are. So instead we kind of look at it and we look for the things that are going to prove that we haven't done enough yet. But actually, why did you write the book? You wrote the book because you had a message you wanted to share. And that message will get to the person it was supposed to be shared with, and many people that it's supposed to be shared with. And I think this is where sometimes we I've been dreadfully guilty of it, going out of kilter, is what was my purpose and my intention when I was doing this? My purpose and my intention was I thought that what I had to say was hopefully going to add value to somebody, even if it's one person. Then if it adds value to just one person, then it's worth taking the risk. So if that's why I did it, why do I now judge the fact that I only helped one person as being a significant failure? Because it's like, that was your purpose. Your purpose was to hopefully add value to even just one person. But once we've done it, we then start to add in these external views of what good would look like and find ourselves lacking as a result.
Absolutely. I agree with you. Thank you, KIM-ADELE. As we're coming towards the end of our program, something I'd really like to have us discuss is when we look at a life well lived, and that's what we're talking about today, it's really subjective from person to person. And yet, when it's time and we've passed on and other people are here, of course, we don't know what they're saying about us, but one would think we'd like them to say something that's more than, oh, she looked great, or she had a great figure, or something meaningful that the person did to change lives. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's those, I'd like people to think that I added some value, that I did something that they remember that you were kind, or you did something that helped them, or whatever those things are. I remember when my best friend lost her mum, and her partner at the time said, she cries every day, Kim, and she cries because of you. And I was mortified. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to make this any harder. I mean, this was probably 20 years ago. And she said, no, you make me cry because you keep reminding me of all the fun times, of all the happy memories, of all the insight and the wisdom that she shared. And that reminds me of everything I had, you know, in a moment where all we can think of is what we've lost. And I'm in that place now. And actually thinking about all the stuff that I had, all the stuff that I gained, all of the amazing memories, all of the love, all of the guidance, all of the wisdom that I had from having my dad with us is what I'm clinging on to right now, because it would be too easy to focus on what I haven't got. But he lived a life well lived. He made such a difference to all the people that came into his life, that showed me what I want to be able to do in mine. And I think it has really helped me to be thinking over we are leaving a legacy. Each and every one of us is leaving a legacy every minute of every day. But are we doing it consciously? Are we thinking about the legacy we want to lead and then taking the actions to lead that? And I guess for me, that's what I've learned from losing people, is to think about the legacy they've left. And it's always been about the joy that they brought. And that's how we all, I believe, that's definitely how I would like to be remembered, is for the joy that I brought, not the sorrow.
Kim, I was back here sobbing as you were talking. So it's not my story to tell, but you did reach out to me yesterday to let me know that something had happened. Do you feel you want to share it or not?
Of course. So my father passed away this week following he had Parkinson's for over 20, I think it was 24 years now, and had been quite poorly the last few weeks. And finally, God rest his soul, was at peace this week. And it's really hard. It's hard to lose somebody that you love so much. But we never really lose them, because their memories don't get taken away from us. All the things that they had, all the things that they brought to us, all of the messages that they give, and the guidance that they gave us, that's with us for life. And I'm trying really hard to celebrate the life he had and use that as my rock to cling to instead of the grief.
It's a tough journey. And I appreciate how brave and strong you are for even being here today. When you said you were going to come and do the show, I thought, oh my gosh, it's amazing. And we also talked about this, and I think it's important just to touch on it briefly, because you and I shared this similar story, is that what your father, the way he went out wasn't the way you'd want him to. And the same thing with my mother. And I think that's what's important, that when we get to the end stages of life, we're not guaranteed that we're going to have a pleasant passing, that for the people in our family who are there taking care of us or watching, it can be horrific. And you can't even imagine, like, does your loved one understand or know what's going on? But I like to think of it like you know, my mom was not that person for the last month, and those last 3 days that were absolute torture and agony that she was in. And the same with your dad, that we don't think about those 11 days. We think about the rest of their lives. We don't have the answers as to why they passed the way that they did, but they had a life well lived. And I think that's the thing to take away.
It so is. I mean, it's those parts that say, and it's funny, I reflected before coming on. My dad taught us to always carry on, no matter what. You carry on, you take the step, you dig deep, and so today I came on in his memory, because I think that's what he would have told me to do. And I think it is those parts that say I had nearly 51 years of memories, and I refuse to let the fact he's not with us anymore steal that gift that he gave me, to take it away. And although it's painful to look at, it's also where we're going to get our biggest source of strength, because that legacy will live on. It lives on through me, through my brother, through my family, and through Scarlett and ongoing generations, because we pass it down. And so I could delve in to the depths of sorrow and not come out, or I can look at, how do I now continue his legacy? How do I make sure that the lessons and the messages that he taught us actually live on and help other people?
And again, I love you for being here and just sharing your story with us. Thank you, KIM-ADELE. I think something that's also important, because I've seen this happen time and time again with people, is if you're at odds with someone, the other person doesn't have any illness that you know of. They're not on their, their deathbed, but they're taken, and you didn't say whatever it was you wanted to tell them. Maybe you had an argument and you never made amends, and you can't get that time back. And I have literally seen people destroyed by that the guilt from not being able to share or say I'm sorry or whatever the case is. And they turn to drugs, or they turn to alcohol or suicide or something that is really a journey that we don't want anyone to go on to. So what are your thoughts about living a life well lived and being at peace and having closure with people you love and care about? Or even, it could even be business. Maybe there's a disgruntled customer or employee, making that right so that it's taking the high road.
Yeah, and it's a great question. I think it's hard because we can have those moments where we fall out with people, or we get cross or angry. And if we live every moment thinking it might be the last time we see them, then that's not fair either, I don't think. And I think I choose to believe that we can always say sorry, even if they're not here, and that they will understand and accept that. So I think for me, it's, I always try to find the way of going and saying everything I wanted to say, so that hopefully that allows us both to have some peace. And I trust that actually people that know and know and care for you, know that you love them and care for them, because you'll have said it often enough that last moment, if you were cross with them, won't rule out all of the other moments, because we've had arguments before and we've reconnected. I think when it's with business, where if I've ever had occasion where I've not behaved as I would have liked to, I've gone back and tried to make amends. Now, not everybody wants to listen to that. All I can do is do my part and say sorry. And for me, that's the piece that I find myself having to do. I will say my bit, even if it's write them a letter or send them a message or a text if I haven't got any other way of getting in touch with them. Yes, I don't know if they've read it. Yes, I don't know if they've accepted it, but I do know that I did it. And for me, that gives me some peace.
Thank you for sharing that. I think also there's some people that you feel like you can never do enough, no matter what you say or how you apologize. They always want something more, or the silent treatment. That's something that I've been privy to with several people in my life. You're standing there talking to them. They act like they can't see you. It's almost like the changing of the guard, I guess. But that's not ours to own. And I think also as coaches and as people, you and I have done collectively thousands and thousands of interviews, you get a sense when something else is going on with someone, if they have that anger that's repressed and they're just projecting it onto you, or they have a deep sense of depression or loss and it's coming through, and we have to give them grace. And I love what you shared, that even though someone might not be here, we can still verbally express how we feel. We can journal it, we can write it down, we could write a book about it. There's so many ways that we can to get that closure. So as we close out our show today, I really enjoyed this. It's very emotional, obviously, and I thank you for going there with me and for giving our audience the understanding that life is not always perfect. It is filled with ups and downs. It is filled with great achievements and taking step by step. And then, of course, losing someone that we truly love that can never be replaced. What would you like to leave our audience with today, Kim-ADELE?
Oh, great question. I guess I'd like to leave our audience with a request to try and be present, and to look for the things that will bring you the joy. And if you are going through a really tough time, if you are going through loss or anything that's harming you, talk to somebody else. Don't go there on your own. And for me, and it's very early days, I'm trying really hard in each day to find positives, find memories that, yes, still make me cry, but they're happy memories, and therefore they are turning they're turning the tide a little bit. So don't do it on your own, and make sure that you're kind to yourself and others.
That was beautiful. Thank you. I shared with you that coming up in the next week or so, we have my parents' interment, which my dad died in 2012, but my mom never wanted to bury his ashes. So now we have my father's ashes, and we never had a service for my mother, who died in August. And so now we have to travel many states away to have this service, and I'll be giving a eulogy. And I was really kind of angry about the whole thing because I didn't want to do it. I didn't believe in it. I felt like I'm living here in my parents' house, and I see, things all over, and I've processed it. And now I got to travel all this distance, and I don't know, I just was so angry that I said I wasn't going to go. And then I thought about it, and I thought, you have to go. I mean, how can you not go, right? You have to go. But I'm not sure what the reason is. And then I took a step back and I said, it's not about me. It's their wishes. It's what they wanted. They wanted to have their ashes buried in this bench at this cemetery. So that's what we have to do. So my point is that living a life well lived means it's not just about you. It's about doing right by the people you love and honoring their wishes too.
Absolutely.
Well, I think we will start sobbing if we don't end the show shortly. So thank you, Kim-ADELE Randall, for being here today. Please let people know, how can they sign up to be a guest on your podcast?
Of course. So if anybody would like to be a guest, then please do get in touch. You can find out more at www.authenticachievements.com, or you can email me directly at kim@kimadelerandall.com. And really, we're all about helping people share their message so that we can help others to find their authentic achievement.
Thank you very much. Thank you for being here during a very difficult time. Sending you lots of love, and I'll be in touch with you.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye. Well, there you have it today. I just want to say our guest, John R. Miles, is not here, and hopefully he's well, and we will see him for a future episode. If you'd like to be a guest on this or any of our shows, I believe we have about 45 different shows. You can go over to our website, which is usaglobaltv.com, and you can subscribe. Also, you can watch us wherever you are today. We have 2 YouTube channels. We also are on Roku Worldwide, Amazon Fire, Amazon Live, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook, sometimes X, depending if our guest has a presence there. So we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to have you join us. We're also running a special, which really worked out well for last month, which was a Mother's Day promotion. This is for Father's Day. If you're interested in hosting your own television show, maybe it's something you've always thought about, and you thought, I don't want to get into a contract. I don't want to have to take training and make a big commitment. We will offer you the opportunity to have your your own 30-minute show. It's one episode, and you can talk about whatever it is you want to talk about and see how you feel doing it. I can host the show with you if that makes you feel better, and you can just get yourself out there and see what it's like. So our platform is not a podcast platform per se, because we are live streaming broadcasting platform, which means everything is scheduled in advance. We follow certain protocols and certain levels of professionalism that you have to have. That's why this opportunity, the Father's Day promotion, is so unique, because we're really going out of our comfort zone, so to speak, so that more people can have an opportunity to experience what it's like to be a host of a television show. And again, my team and I are there for you if that's something you're interested in. You can contact me directly, and here's my information. So you can reach out to me at Dr. Jacalyn at usaglobaltv.com. And again, our website is usaglobaltv.com. Go over to our YouTube channel, which is, guess what? USA Global TV, and you can subscribe and find all of our shows. They are in playlists there, so it's very easy to find. This show will be under the playlist Authentic Achievements. Thank you again for being here. We look forward to having you back, and we're going to hear from some of our sponsors right now. Stay well, stay strong, and remember, reach out. People are here to help you.
USA Global TV and Radio, in partnership with Dr. Jacalyn LLC, present Amazon #1 best-selling author, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck is a certified life, career, and executive coach who teaches people how to listen at an elevated level through her courses and her books. Dr. Kerbeck teaches her clients how to open their hearts and express themselves through their creative genius. In her children's book series, The Amazing Adventures of Lady Ella, the listening mentor, Dr. Kerbeck teaches children and their families how to listen at an elevated level. Dr. Kerbeck has worked with clients across the world to guide them in how to express themselves and communicate at a highly effective level. Join our team of elevated listeners so you can listen without judgment, without providing a solution, without interruption, and without stealing the stage. To order your books today, go to drjacalyn.com or Amazon.
USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents our partner and sponsor, Mr. Philip Sykes and the British School of Excellence. Building confidence, changing lives. And now, proudly presenting the Polished Professional.
On a transformative journey with the British School of Excellence's comprehensive suite of masterclasses, crafted to elevate your professional and personal life. 8 outstanding modules will elevate you to the next level. Module 1, Exploring Life's Purpose, delves into the depths of self-discovery, guiding you to chart your unique path to fulfillment and success. Module 2, Mastering Professional Presence and Confidence. This masterclass is a deep dive into the art of self-assurance and commanding presence, which is essential for standing out in today's competitive landscape. Module 3, Learn the secrets of visual impact, how to curate a personal style that amplifies your professional brand. Module 4, Mastering Professional Etiquette and Communication Excellence, navigating the nuances of corporate interaction with grace and tact. Module 5, Elegance in Eloquence. We impart powerful techniques to captivate and persuade any audience with your oratory skills. Module 6, Unlock the potential of your emotional intelligence, EQ, and harness the ability to connect, empathize, and lead with emotional savvy. Module 7, Mastering DISC, building a gateway to understanding behavioral styles, fostering better personal and professional relationships. Module 8, Mastery in Dining Etiquette, building your confidence to perfect the subtleties of dining with finesse, enhancing your social savviness at any table. Step into the Polished Professional program where poise, elegance, and excellence aren't just taught, they're instilled for life. Join us to redefine your potential and polish your professional edge.
To learn more, go to thebritishschoolofexcellence.com. The British School of Excellence are investors in people. Let us invest in you.
Hello, I'm children's author Diane Floyd Bain, and I am co-host for several of the USA Global TV and radio shows. I joined because of the purpose of the USA Global TV and radio. They provide content for the viewers and listeners, an opportunity for people around the world to have their own show or even be a guest on an existing show. We truly believe in helping others get their positive message out to the world. We also have the opportunity for the listeners. You can watch on several platforms, and on YouTube, you can ask questions and even give a comment. We absolutely love it. I love being part of the USA Global TV and radio because I love positive messages. And who doesn't? And we need more of that in the world. We are a family, and we hope you will join us and become part of the family too.